Hello, everybody. Cindy Heartsoul with Heartsoul Confidence-Based Horsemanship, and this is our Unbridled Freedom private Facebook group. And we are doing the third episode in our 10-part series of A Horsewoman's Journey to Empowerment. And I hope that the last two episodes are giving you some helpful tips and powerful information that's helping you to do things differently with your horses. What I'd like to do, like we do at the beginning of every episode, is to pause, put your feet on the ground, close your eyes if you'd like. Take some nice deep breaths, breathing deep into your power center, which is 3 inches below your belly button and back towards the center of your pelvic bowl, back towards your spine. I'm going to take 4 nice deep breaths, breathing in relaxation, breathing out any stress and tension from the day through the soles of your feet. With each breath, feeling yourself settle deeper into your chair, deeper into your room, becoming more present and more grounded. And as I have said in every video, hopefully, that I've done here in this private group, I'm going to say it again because it's worth repeating. Our breath is the gateway to all things positive. We need breath, we need oxygen to survive. So many of us take short, shallow breaths, filling up just this upper lung lobe. We don't teach breathing unless you are engaged in some kind of mindful self-development practice, martial arts, yoga, meditation, qigong, all these different things that are mind, body, and focused. Yet, it is so vital to the well-being and balance of these vessels we call our bodies, especially when we're with horses. When we're taking short, shallow breaths, we are triggering our autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system. You've heard me talk about this, and I talk about it all the time because it is important. When I finally started grasping how important the autonomic nervous system was to the human being's well-being and understanding and being able to get mind over body, control and balance, it's also as important to understand the autonomic nervous system of the horse. So our breathing is directly connected to that, regulating. And our emotions are directly connected to the autonomic nervous system and our well-being. So today we're talking about creating a solid foundation. And I'm sorry, I'm just looking at a couple notes here. Building a solid foundation. Building a foundation actually is what I think it's called. Titles, labels don't matter. It's the content that we're after. So we're talking about a foundation. And you know, all solid things, all things that last for a long time are built on a solid foundation. And a relationship is no different. And a relationship with our horses are like any other relationship in our lives. The ones that we spend time on, the ones that we are committed to, the ones that are important to us, we take the time and invest mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Spiritually meaning that heart and soul connection, that part of me that's connected and drawn to you. We are devoted to making the relationship work. And that's creating that solid foundation. And engaging with our horses, we're engaging in a relationship. And horses value relationships just as much as we do. And they know that their safety and their survival depends on them having strong, solid relationships. And those relationships are built on a foundation. So I really like this topic because I am all about helping women to transform their lives, starting with the relationship they have between themselves and their horses. And when we can learn how to be committed and feel safe being vulnerable and standing still when we're uncomfortable with a 1,200-pound animal, that empowers us with skills and confidence to be able to stand still in the presence of any relationship that means something to us. So how do we build this solid foundation? It starts with undemanding time. It starts with hanging out with your horse. Letting your horse just be with you and get to know you, and you the same. And that can be like just hanging out in their stall or their paddock or their pasture with them. It's hard if they're in with multiple horses. Taking them for a walk and just connecting with them. And making sure that you're not looking at your phone. I mean, so many of us are so used to walking down, riding our horses or walking our horses or letting them graze. And they feel that disconnect just like our children, just like our friends. So when we take that time to be undemanding time with them, make sure that you're present and you're grounded. There's so many amazing things to notice about our horses. Like, how do they pick at the grass? How do they check out new things? Do they smell them with their left nostril or their right nostril? Do they first back up before they go towards something new? There's so much to learn when we're willing to spend undemanding time. It creates trust and connection, and the communication begins. And then the next part of building that solid foundation is going to be learning how to achieve something together. Haltering up. Thanks, Margot Rose, for your comment, and I'm so happy you're here. I look at my relationship with my horses like having a partnership of ballroom dancing. Now, do I ballroom dance? No, but I am fascinated watching the pairs together. This pair comes out on the dance floor and they begin to move in rhythm and harmony with one another. And it's so graceful and so mesmerizing to see them as if they are one. And you can see it when you watch horse and riders who have spent a lot of time building that solid foundation together. They just seem to flow as if they're one. Well, it didn't always start out like that. First, there's a leader and there's a follower. And what I mean by a follower is they are willing to extend their trust and their connection to the leader, because the leader is willing to be inclusive and to be honoring and to allow that partner to be seen and to be heard. Same with horses. Two come together and now they're a herd. So when you and I step into a pen with a horse, we have now become a herd. And they are immediately asking us, are you my leader, or do I need to be the leader? Even if they're not leadership material, they will step up to the plate if you answer the questions that they're asking through body language with a resounding no. So let's get back to, why do I compare ballroom dancing to creating a solid relationship and partnership with my horses? Because I'm the leader. And I know what I want to do with my horses in order for us to grow together. And it begins when I walk into their pen and I'm ready to put the halter on them. I have worked at creating the foundation the minute I walk in for my horse to see me, greet me, and want to come join me. And then participate in putting the halter on. When we lead out of their enclosure, I want to do it as partners. Then the next step that we go to is the groundwork. And a lot of people don't understand why we do groundwork. But the horses understand it. And if it's less, they're wild Mustangs, and they still understand it. They just understand it in a different way because they live in a herd and a band. But every horse that's been started under saddle, I guarantee you, started with some form of groundwork. And that is the first layer of the foundation. No, that's probably the second layer of the foundation. The first layer of the foundation is the relationship, the trust, the connection, the communication. Then through the groundwork, we are starting to teach the steps within each move of the dance we'll be doing together. There's that ballroom dancing comparison. Groundwork does not mean getting in a round pen and chasing your horse around with a whip to tire them out. That's called lunging. That's called trying to hedge your bets in the safest direction when you get in the saddle. But if you think about that logic, these are prey animals and we're predators, and we are chasing them around with a whip, making them run. If we go back to the autonomic nervous system of the horse, that's putting them in their fight or flight mode. They're not thinking about what you're doing. They're not responding to what you're doing. They are reacting out of fear, out of, I gotta run because if I don't, they're gonna crack that whip at me. Groundwork is not that. Groundwork is everything we do on the ground is done with a purpose to help our horses and ourselves understand that when we get up in the saddle, we have that connection and that understanding. So in my program, Unbridled Freedom, my year-long mentorship program, we deep dive into why do we do groundwork. And it's involving herd dynamics, horse behavior, the psychology, the physiology, the autonomic nervous system. how horses learn, how humans learn. All of this is wrapped up in the groundwork that we're doing. And every move that we make on the ground, if you understand groundwork, is going to translate up into the saddle. You're going to be doing a lot of the same body language that you're doing on the ground. But when we do it on the ground, the horse can see us. When we're in the saddle, we're in their blind spot, so they can't see us unless they turn their head slightly left or right. But when we're on top of them, they can't see us. We are in their blind spot. All they can do is feel us through our seat, through our feet, through our hands. So if you don't understand how to communicate with your horse's mind, body, emotions, while maintaining that spiritual connection, that heart and soul, that essence of me that loves the essence of them. If you don't know how to do that on the ground, you sure in the, excuse my French, hell, aren't going to know what you're doing from the top. You're just doing what you've been taught to do. I guess you could say the horses are doing what they were taught to do as well. But somebody's got to know why you're doing it and what you're supposed to be getting. What is the outcome when you're doing it? All of that is established on the ground. I start all of my wild horses, all of my domestic baby horses, all of my restarts, horses that have problems, all of my students, I start them all on the ground with the very basics, because that's the solid foundation. You see, I learned when I started working with wild Mustangs 22 years ago, almost 23. Holy moly. No, that's not true. 12 years ago, almost 13. When I started gentling wild Mustangs and teaching them what they needed to know in order to be able to have a successful life in Humansville, I realized that I needed to know what I needed to teach them. All right, I need to teach them to go forwards, backwards, left and right, and do their transitions, up and down, which is walk, trot, canter, trot, walk, okay? Those are the 6 basic things horses do. They know how to do that. They're born knowing how to do that. And if they don't, their mom and their herd mates teach them. But if I'm trying to teach a wild horse or a young baby how to do these things with a lead rope and a halter, I have to know the steps within each thing I'm trying to teach. Here we go back to ballroom dancing, right? When you're learning to ballroom dance with your partner, one of you has to know the moves, the steps within each move, and which move comes after the next move in order to make the dance flow. And often it's done by an instructor, aka a horsemanship mentor. But that has to be taught in steps. For example, did you know there's 4 steps to haltering a horse? If you're having a hard time haltering your horse, or your horse is having a hard time being haltered, do you know the 4 steps within the move? Because if there's a problem, the way that you find out where the problem is you first check step 1. Good. Step 2, that's good. Step 3, oh my God, there's a hole in step 3. No wonder I can't get to 4, because step 3 is broken. The same with ballroom dancing. They're trying to put a move together and somebody's off. They start with step 1, step 2, steps 3, until they find out which step is broken, and then they work on getting that together, and then they put it all together. So haltering your horse, or putting your horse out in the circle. There's 4 moves to putting your horse out on the circle, and then there's 3 more moves to getting them to go. Every client that I start working with has no idea what it takes, that there's actually that many moves. I mean, that many steps in a move that they're trying to achieve. Pretty much everything we do with our horses has 4 to 8 steps in it. So we have to start to build that solid foundation by teaching the horse the steps, or I teach the horse and the woman the steps, and get them practicing the steps together. And when they get each step going well, then the move starts to take life. And once we get life in the movement, then I can teach them about the rhythm and the harmony. Because we're rhythmic beings, that's why we love music. And horses are rhythmic beings. Just listen to the way they move. So when we can learn the steps within the movement that we're desiring to have, and then we can put the freedom of rhythm and harmony into it, the dance begins. And if you look at some of those high-level dressage riders, or in many modalities, or just a Western pleasure, I don't show. My modality is being the best leader I can be for horse and women, so that they can experience the freedom of connection and harmony and moving as one and dancing together. And when you can begin to experience the dance, because you guys are beginning to be that connected from creating the solid foundation, the more you practice, the more synchronicity is created, the deeper that connection of 2 souls becoming one. And the sky's the limit. There isn't anything that you can't do. And I am practicing the fundamentals of horsemanship, which there's a few different things. First of all, I mentioned it earlier, horses only do 6 things naturally. They go forward, they go backwards, they go left, they go right, they go up, and they go down. Our job is to help our horses learn to do those 6 things with us as partners in harmony with trust, communication, and connection, and to flow and be as smooth and athletic as we can both be together. Again, do you see the connection like ballroom dancing? The other foundation that I teach, that is a solid first foundation fundamental to horsemanship, is focus, feel, timing, and balance, while helping your horse do the 6 things they do naturally, but to do it with you as a partner, with harmony and rhythm. I'm doing those same things that some of you may be doing, some of you may be really ready to dive in and start learning how to do, and some have never ever had this concept introduced to them. They just get on the horse and do what they've been told to do. They don't know why. They don't know what it means to the horse. When the horse isn't doing it, they get frustrated because they've not been taught the foundation. So I'm doing the same things I'm teaching. I'm just doing it at a different level. I hear people talk about master horsemen, and I've been striving to be a master horsewoman, mastering horsemanship. And what I've realized in the last year is that I will spend the rest of my life trying to become a master horsewoman, a master at horsemanship. Just like ballroom dancers will be trying to master that their entire life, as will martial arts individuals, I don't know what they're called, will be striving to master that. What I've begun to really tell myself is that I am far more masterful as a horsewoman at horsemanship, which is everything horse. It's not equitation, it's not hunter jumper. Those are all categories and modalities. Horsemanship is the entire horse from the inside out, and how to use what, when with them, what kind of saddle, what kind of pad, what kind of bit, what kind of shoes, or no shoes. That a horseman is mastering the fundamentals of horses. So I am far more masterful than I was 20 years ago. I've had horses all my life, but I set out on this journey in 2000. And I am far more masterful than I was. But I will spend my entire life as a devoted and dedicated, committed student of the horse. I still have people that I take lessons with who know more about equitation, more about biomechanics, more about collection than I do, and they are my teachers. But my main teachers are the horse. And I've gotten to a point where I am becoming more masterful all the time at being a teacher to other women, to help them dig deep inside and find their triggers, find their weaknesses, find where their confidence is and where it's lacking, and to help them grow from the inside out so that they can turn around and in turn make a deeper connection with their horses and learn how to help their horses be confident, trusting, comfortable, willing, because they want to, not because they have to. And I will also spend the rest of my life teaching as many women and their horses as the good Lord willing and the universe brings to me. But I was in the beginning looking for quick fixes. I wanted to go ride. I wanted to go ride. I wanted to go ride. And it fell apart and it fell apart and it fell apart. And I felt like I was fighting with my horse or working harder than my horse or not achieving what we wanted to achieve. But in 2000, when I decided I am going to be the best I can be, from watching some of these other horsemen and women doing phenomenal stuff with their horses and having a connection like, whew, at the time I wanted, but I didn't know how to get there. And now I know there is no shortcut to creating a deep and meaningful bond and relationship and partnership with your horse. Just like there is no easy way to do that with another being. And the other thing that I really have learned is that before I can have a deep, meaningful connection with any of you or any of your horses or my horses or my loved ones in my life, I first have to have the willingness to stand still and look inside and be vulnerable and uncomfortable enough to look inside and see what is scaring me, what is holding me back, what makes me angry, what makes me frustrated, and how do I work through that so that when I go to my horse, I'm in that peaceful place where I can truly be grounded and present and show up for them. All right, everybody. We are at that 30 minutes. We're actually at 31 minutes. This is the Building a Foundation episode in our 10-part series of empowering horsewomen. I would love to hear your comments in the comment section. If you have any questions, please, please, please share your questions in the comments, because there's a good chance that if you have that question, others do. Remember, this group is for us. It's for you to grow and to explore and to ask questions and to share ahas and share your frustrations, because the only way you're gonna grow is having the courage to be vulnerable enough to say, I need help. I don't understand. And this is the safe place, our sacred container for everybody to feel safe and ask questions and share their frustrations, and by all means, share your wonderful wins. All right, ladies, we'll see you next week, next Thursday, 4:30 Pacific Standard Time, and I closed my document, so I'm trying to look it up real quick. Our next session is going to be seeking professional guidance. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me live and or watching this video when you have time to sit down with a cup of tea. All right, everybody. Take care.